It's 2 in the afternoon in Ho Chi Minh City. The streets are quiet, shops are closed, and right there, on a parked motorbike, in the middle of a busy sidewalk, a grown man is fast asleep. Not hiding, not embarrassed, just sleeping. In public, in broad daylight. A tourist walks by and stares. 6 months later, that same tourist is doing the exact same thing. This happens to almost everyone who spends real time in Vietnam. The habits that look strange in week 1 start feeling completely normal by month 3. Today we're breaking down 15 of them, the ones that shock foreigners first and win them over eventually. Stick around until the end, because the last one on this list surprises even people who've lived in Vietnam for years. Vietnam doesn't ease you in. From the moment you land, daily life here runs on a different rhythm than most Western countries. People eat differently, they rest differently, they talk to strangers differently. And if you don't understand why, it can feel confusing, even overwhelming. But here's the thing most travel videos get wrong. They show you these habits like they're just funny quirks to laugh at. They don't explain where they come from. And that's a mistake because almost every habit on this list has a real reason behind it, shaped by climate, history, family culture, or simple practicality. Once you understand the why, these habits stop looking strange. They start looking smart. And by the time you're done watching, a few of them might even change how you travel, not just in Vietnam, but anywhere. So let's go through them, one by one, starting with the ones tied to comfort. Number 1. Napping anywhere, anytime. Vietnam sits close to the equator, and midday heat can be brutal. So instead of pushing through it, many Vietnamese people simply stop. Office workers nap at their desks. Street vendors nap on their carts. Motorbike taxi drivers nap sitting upright, helmet still on. It's not laziness. It's a practical response to climate, and most schools even build a nap period into the daily schedule for young students. Some shops close their doors for an hour or 2 in the early afternoon, with a hammock strung up right behind the counter. Most travelers try to power through the afternoon heat their first week, pushing themselves to keep sightseeing no matter how tired they feel. By week 2, they're finding a shaded bench and closing their eyes too, and wondering why they didn't start sooner. Number 2. Wearing pajamas in public. In many Western countries, pajamas are strictly indoor wear. In Vietnam, especially outside the big city centers, it's completely normal to see women running errands, buying groceries, or chatting with neighbors in matching pajama sets. It's comfortable, it's practical, and nobody blinks. The patterns range from cartoon characters to bright florals, and the sets are sold at almost every local market right next to the everyday clothes. This one confuses tourists at first. They assume something's wrong. Did this person just roll out of bed? Then they try it during a hot, humid afternoon walk to the corner store, feel how light and breathable the fabric is, and suddenly it makes perfect sense. Number 3. Squatting instead of sitting. Walk through almost any Vietnamese neighborhood and you'll see people squatting waiting for a bus, eating a snack, chatting with a neighbor, instead of sitting on a chair or bench. For many Vietnamese people, this position is second nature from childhood, and it's actually more comfortable and more stable than it looks to someone who's never tried it. Foreigners often can't hold the position for more than a few seconds without their legs shaking or their balance giving out. Give it a few months of daily life here, riding motorbikes, sitting at street food stalls, waiting for the bus, and the muscles adjust. It gets a lot easier, almost natural. Notice the pattern already forming? Vietnam consistently chooses comfort over convention. And once you accept that, the next set of habits, the ones around food, will make a lot more sense too. Number 4. Eating on tiny plastic stools. Some of the best meals in Vietnam happen on the sidewalk, on stools barely bigger than a dinner plate, at tables that barely reach your knees. To a first-time visitor, it can look uncomfortable, even a little chaotic. But this setup exists for a reason. It's fast to set up, fast to pack away, and it lets vendors serve fresh food right where people are walking, working, and living. The tables get wiped down, folded up, and moved in seconds if a food inspector or a sudden downpour shows up. Once travelers get past the awkward first sit-down, the knees up near their chest, the low table barely holding their drink, they usually admit the food tastes better this way. Closer to the street, closer to the cooking, closer to real daily life. Number 5. The coffee obsession. But not the coffee you're used to. Forget the to-go cup and the oat milk latte. In Vietnam, coffee is slow, strong, and often mixed with sweetened condensed milk instead of regular milk. Egg coffee, a whipped egg yolk, and condensed milk topping over strong coffee sounds strange to most first-timers. Some flat-out refuse to try it. Then they try it. The texture is closer to a light custard than anything eggy, and the flavor is rich, sweet, and surprisingly balanced. It becomes one of the first things they recommend to everyone back home, right after they admit they almost skipped it. Number 6. Sharing every dish at the table. In many Western meals, everyone orders their own plate. In Vietnam, dishes usually land in the middle of the table, and everyone eats from the same bowls using their own chopsticks or a shared serving spoon. For newcomers, this can feel unfamiliar, even a little uncomfortable at first. But it's built around a specific idea. A meal isn't just food, it's a shared moment, a chance to sit down with people and actually connect. Give it a few dinners, and most travelers stop asking for separate plates altogether. They start reaching into the same bowl like everyone else at the table. Number 7. Beer served with ice. This one catches almost every visitor off guard. Order a cold beer in Vietnam, and it often comes with a glass of ice on the side. To beer purists, this sounds like a crime. But in a hot, humid climate, it keeps the drink cold for longer and cuts the strength of low-cost local beer, which is often brewed weaker than what Western drinkers are used to. Try it once on a 35-degree afternoon, and the logic clicks immediately. Food and drink habits are one thing, but the way people talk to each other in Vietnam? That's where things get really interesting, and where most foreigners hit their first real culture shock. Number 8. Asking your age, salary, and marital status right away. Meet someone new in Vietnam, and within the first few minutes you might get asked how old you are, whether you're married, and sometimes even how much you earn. In many Western cultures, these questions feel invasive, even rude. In Vietnam, they're not meant as an insult at all. Age determines how people address each other. Vietnamese has different pronouns depending on whether someone is older or younger than you. Age determines how people address each other, so asking your age is actually a way of knowing how to speak to you respectfully. There's no equivalent to a simple, neutral you. The correct word depends entirely on relative age, so people genuinely need this information just to have a normal conversation. Once foreigners understand that reasoning, the question stops feeling nosy and starts feeling practical. Even a little thoughtful once you realize it's the local way of figuring out how to show you respect. Number 9. Haggling as a normal part of shopping. At local markets, the first price you hear is rarely the price you're expected to pay. For travelers used to fixed pricing, this can feel stressful, even confrontational. But in most local markets, haggling isn't rude. It's expected, almost like a friendly negotiation game between buyer and seller. A smile, a little back and forth, and a fair price for both sides. That's the whole point, not a fight to win. Give it a few tries and most visitors start enjoying it, treating it almost like a small game instead of a stressful transaction. By the end of the trip, some are haggling over items worth less than $1, just because it's become a habit they don't want to break. Number 10. Loud phone calls and video calls in public. Speakerphone conversations on buses. Video calls at full volume in coffee shops. No headphones in sight. This one genuinely surprises people used to quieter public phone etiquette. But in Vietnamese daily life, staying connected with family, especially calling parents or grandparents, is treated as more important than blending into background noise. It's less about ignoring social norms and more about a different set of priorities. Number 11. Traffic that looks chaotic but isn't motorbikes weaving between cars. Crossing the street without a crosswalk light. No hesitation, no stopping. To a first-time visitor, Vietnamese traffic looks like complete chaos, and honestly, it can be intimidating to cross the street for the first time. But there's an unspoken rhythm to it. Drivers expect pedestrians to move at a steady, predictable pace, not stop, not run, and they adjust around you. Locals will tell you, Walk slow, walk steady, and don't panic. The traffic flows around you like water around a rock. It takes nerve the first time. Most travelers freeze at the curb, waiting for a gap that never fully comes. By the end of a trip, most travelers cross without thinking twice, walking straight into the flow of motorbikes with the same calm confidence as everyone else on the sidewalk. Now, if directness catches foreigners off guard, the next set of habits does something different. These ones aren't about communication style, they're about beliefs that go back generations. Number 12. Never whistle at night. In many parts of Vietnam, whistling after dark is considered bad luck. Some say it can attract wandering spirits. Whether or not you believe in the folklore, it's a good example of how old beliefs still quietly shape everyday behavior. Most foreigners forget about it entirely. Then they whistle at night once, get a strange look from a local friend, and never do it again. Number 13. Paying close attention to lucky and unlucky dates. Big decisions, weddings, moving into a new house, opening a business, are often timed around dates considered auspicious based on traditional beliefs passed down through generations. To someone unfamiliar with the practice, scheduling a wedding around a lunar calendar date might seem unnecessary. Families will sometimes delay a wedding by weeks or even months just to land on a date considered favorable. But for many Vietnamese families, it's a meaningful part of starting something new the right way. A small act of care and intention, not superstition for its own sake. Number 14. Strict rules around gift giving. Some gifts are considered unlucky in Vietnamese culture. Clocks, for example, because they can symbolize time running out on a relationship. Handkerchiefs are sometimes avoided too, since they're associated with tears and goodbyes. Foreigners often find out the hard way after giving a gift that gets an oddly polite but hesitant reaction. Learn the rules once, and you'll never make that mistake again. Number 15. No sweeping the floor during Tet. During the first days of the Lunar New Year, sweeping or taking out the trash is traditionally avoided. The belief is that you might sweep away the household's good fortune along with the dust. So homes are cleaned thoroughly before Tet begins, and then left untouched for the first few days of the new year. Trash cans fill up, floors go untouched, and nobody seems bothered by it because everyone understands the reason. To an outsider, letting dust pile up on purpose sounds unusual, maybe even impractical. To Vietnamese families, it's about protecting the year's luck before it even starts. A small sacrifice of tidiness for a much bigger hope. 15 habits. All of them looked strange to someone at some point. Napping in public, squatting on the sidewalk, asking your salary 5 minutes after meeting you. But every single one of them has a reason. Climate, family, history, or belief, sitting quietly underneath it. That's really the story of adjusting to life in Vietnam. The things that shock you in week 1 become the things you miss most when you leave. So if you're planning a trip, don't just watch these habits from the outside. Try one. Sit on the tiny plastic stool. Take the afternoon nap. Ask someone their age and let them ask yours back. You might be surprised how fast it starts to feel normal, and how strange it feels to go back to doing things the old way.